morning, everyone. My name is Tori Marrera. Welcome to Community Talk. I'm the Director of Community Outreach and Communications for the Enid Symphony Orchestra. Today I have the privilege of interviewing Maestro Douglas Newell of the Enid Symphony Orchestra. Welcome to today's show, Doug. It's great to have you here.
Thank you. How do you say that with an R in it? It's orchestra.
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 Yes, yes.
Orchestra.
So today we'll be talking about the Christmas on Broadway performance on November 26th, featuring vocalists Brock Johnson and Lindy Wilson. We'll also be talking about future engagements with our season concerts, the premiere fund drive, and much more. So before we begin, Doug, tell us about our sponsors for this season.
Our sponsors for this season are the National Endowment for the Arts and the Oklahoma Arts Council. Security National Bank is a season sponsor. They're with us every year for the 4th of July. And we also have Edward Jones Corporation. We have some very special sponsors for this next performance, though. And that is TCK Wealth Management, as well as Al and Chris Chulik, the Dr. Burt Clampett Memorial Fund, and Billy Ruth Shields. They have all come together to make our concert this next weekend, November 26th, a possibility for our community.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful, wonderful to hear. We always need to thank our sponsors. So tell us about the Christmas on Broadway performance on November 26th. What can we expect to hear?
Well, you can expect to hear Christmas music.
Great. Wonderful.
Did you want me to expound?
Yes, I'd love to hear
I'd be happy
Christmas.
to expound about it. Well, Christmas is so many different things. The true meaning, the spiritual meaning, of course, will be represented, as well as the secular and the holiday aspect of it. And we'll have music from everything from Joy to the World to O Holy Night, but we get into Broadway on this one with things like It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas. A salute to the Canadian Brass. They have great Christmas medleys that they perform. And then we're going to have a lot of traditional songs, that many of which were actually written by composers who are famous for what they wrote for Broadway, but these songs were not necessarily connected with Broadway. For example, Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, Winter Wonderland, The Christmas Waltz. I bet you don't know that one.
I don't believe so.
Well, I'm in the process of learning it. It's a great little song written for a musical. Sammy Cahn and Julie Stein. Julie Stein wrote People. You know, he wrote Funny Girl, the musical. Worked with Sondheim on that. And then Let It Snow, another Sammy Cahn, Julie Stein, great Broadway team, and then We Need a Little Christmas, a Jerry Herman song, and of course It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas, which most people know, but don't realize that it was written by Meredith Willson, who composed the musical The Music Man with 76 trombones. So we're not going to have 76 trombones in the middle of it. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. But the same guy thought it all up.
Great, awesome. It sounds like it's going to be a wonderful performance. So tell us about our featured soloists, baritone Brock Johnson, soprano Lindy Wilson. Tell us about them.
Well, baritone Brock Johnson hails from Enid. He's one of our own.
Oh, cool.
We've known Brock, gosh, years ago, well, 2 or 3 years ago, when Brock was in high school. He and our daughter Lindsay sang the leads together in Oklahoma. I was going to say The Sound of Music, and I was in a junior high production of that, but with one of the other kids. But Brock has gone on in his vocal career. He grew up in Enid, studying with Becky and Jeff Ambrosini, studying voice, and he has gone on to earn his doctorate in vocal pedagogy. He teaches at a university in Texas, and has really had European as well as United States credits to his singing. Very accomplished young man, and he is one of the artists that we selected this year specifically because of the Enid and the Oklahoma connection. This year, coming out of all these last 3 years of cancellations and postponements and all that, I decided we would hire all Oklahoma artists, guest artists, to appear with the symphony. And that brings us to Lindy Wilson, who was brought to us by the United States Air Force, courtesy of her husband. They're here at Vance Air Force Base, came in last year or so. And Lindy is actually, when we first met and she first sang, I suggested she was asking about graduate programs in voice. And I said, well, why don't you go down to UCO? I conduct the opera program there, and I think we'd love to have you there as a student. And that's what she's doing. So she's going to likely sing a role in our spring opera production down there this year. But a very wonderful soprano voice. We're just excited. Some of our viewers will realize when they see her picture that she's the person that I randomly selected out of the audience last year at the end of the season to come up and sing with our guest baritone, Rob Glaubitz. I just asked if there's anyone in the audience who could sing All I Ask of You from Phantom of the Opera. And you know, she's sitting there with her husband and children down there the front row, and oh, young lady, here, you come up and sing this. And she came up and sang. Wow. And it just blew everybody away. And yes, she was planted in the audience. I knew her singing, so I can tell that now that it's 6 months down the road. Everybody says, Doug, how do you do you do things like this? And you ask people to come up and perform with the orchestra, never knowing what's going. I know what's going to happen. I'm a control freak.
It's the illusion, of improv.
It's the illusion, and it's grand, but. The music of the Christmas holidays, I mean, really, I don't think there's any greater, more enjoyable music for everyone. You know, concerts sold out. I mean, we have a waiting list, if you want to call that magic number on the bottom of the screen. We will announce probably the first of the week that we're going to open the dress rehearsal.
Oh, good.
So we're kind of excited about that. But I mean, you know, you're going to hear everything from Mel Torme's Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire to I'll Be Home for Christmas. Susie Snowflake, Rosemary Clooney hit. A lot of people actually a lot of people will remember that one. And of course, we couldn't do a Christmas concert without White Christmas. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. So, you know, Brock and Lindy will do a marvelous duet version of that, and it's the happiest time of year, a wonderful time for enjoying music. And of course, we always open these Christmas pop shows with Mrs. Newell's very favorite piece, the Leroy Anderson Christmas Festival, which is a medley of everything from Joy to the World, Deck the Halls, God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, Good King Wenceslas, say that 37 times before I finish. Hark the Herald, Silent Night, Jingle Bells, Oh Come All Ye Faithful. It's all there. And in fact, if you saw the Home Alone movies, there's a scene in it where Macaulay Culkin sneaks up into the ceiling area of the Symphony Hall in Chicago. And it's Christmas, and the orchestra begins playing, and they're playing Leroy Anderson's Christmas Festival.
Oh, wow.
It's just one of the most jubilant, happy Christmas things that I think I know.
Oh, it's going to be such a great time, I believe, for our audience to experience something like that. So what else will be happening at this concert? Can we expect a reception? I believe Connie Moore is giving an art show that evening. Can you tell us a little bit about that, or will she be there, or?
I don't know if Connie will be there. We're going to have a reception honoring artist Connie Moore, it's an Oklahoma artist, on I believe December the 18th or so, something like that. Sunday afternoon, sort of a pre-Christmas art sale. She's marvelous artist, and her paintings are now, some of her paintings are in the Jane Champlin Art Gallery on the 5th floor of the Enid Symphony Center. But the evening is an event. You need a date night. You need to get away from college football games that you're not happy about anyway. And if you are happy, come and spread the joy that evening. But the doors to the Enid Symphony Center open at 6:30 p.m. on Saturday the 26th. Cash bar opens on the 4th floor. You can take the elevator or walk up to the 5th floor to see the art of Connie Moore in the Jane Champlin Art Gallery. Then the concert is a 1 hour, a 1-act, there's no intermission, a 1-act performance beginning at 7:30, but followed by what really makes this a special event. The Enid Symphony Auxiliary Society presents a reception. They provide a reception, a post-concert reception in the Eleanor Hornbaker Banquet Hall. And you know, we've gone to this format this year of not doing the traditional symphony concert where you come in and you sit through the first half of the concert and it's great music. You take a 20-minute intermission or 15 and you come back to the second half of the performance and then it's over and you go home. We've revamped everything and I think we've hit a marvelous, a wonderful formula here because we open at 6:30, art show, cash bar available, concert at 7:30, and then about 8:30 everybody goes into the Eleanor Hornbaker Banquet Hall for a wonderful reception, food, desserts, things. Gentlemen, it's not dinner. Don't be deceived. My wife always says, well, you had dinner there. There will be plenty to eat, and it will be wonderful because we have a fantastic auxiliary. But it's sort of a nightcap type thing. We have found, and it's exactly what I had in mind years ago when we created the Enid Symphony Center atop the old Knox building, as it were. We had in mind a venue where people would want to come early and stay late. Our first 2 receptions this year, post-concert receptions, have run over an hour. And we love it because people come, they enjoy the music, they enjoy themselves, and then they have a chance to visit, and we have sort of an afterglow to the concert.
Yes.
So it's date night out. If you haven't experienced it and you think you're too young to experience it and enjoy it, no, you don't have to be 37 like me. 35-year-olds are quite welcome. You can come into the hall and you'll have a great time with the Enid Symphony. I'll just go ahead and say it. If you can't get a ticket, we're going to open up the dress rehearsal that afternoon, which is at 2 p.m. On Saturday, November 26th, in the Enid Symphony Center in the Joan Allen Symphony Hall. And we're on the 4th floor of what's known as the Knox Building. Has a banner out front says Enid Symphony Center. 4th floor, 2 o'clock. Come up. We may ask for a donation if you enjoy the music. If you don't, tell us.
Wonderful. Right, and you'll have an hour or 2 between the dress rehearsal to the concert to change things.
Yes, we will. And actually, we love having an audience in the hall for the dress rehearsal because the hall was designed to be acoustically perfect with an audience. So it's a little live without an audience, but you bring in folks into the dress rehearsal. And of course, the orchestra, they're fabulous musicians. They're always on their toes. They're always prepared. But when you walk out and you're playing for people, it's a little different from just playing for yourself. You all of a sudden have that experience of going beyond yourself and reaching someone else. And it's just the most marvelous part of being a performer.
Wonderful. Yes, great. So kind of along the themes of Christmas, we think of giving, we think of charity, kind of giving back to the community. Tell us about the Premier Fund Drive that we're running for the rest of the year.
Well, the Premier Fund Drive is the annual fundraising effort of the Enid Symphony Orchestra. In my bifurcated personality, I'm a musician and a businessman, and no training as a businessman, but I understand how these things are put together and what it takes to make them happen. And I understand the workings of nonprofits in our community. They're all very essential to the quality of life, and we appreciate, those of us who are nonprofit executive directors, appreciate the support given to any nonprofit in our community. The Symphony operates on a budget of about $365,000 a year, something like that, which it takes that to pay the musicians, to pay the guest artists, to keep the utilities, keep the lights on, the heat on, and insurances, things of that nature. And we have a staff of, well, let's see, there are four of us now. There's me, there's you, there's Casey, who is marvelous in the office. She's the best administrative associate you could ever imagine having. And then there's Philip Whitaker, who manages our facility and is there for every event when we rent the events out. Now, going back to your question about the Premier Fund. The Premier Fund is a fund drive where we seek contributions, and this is above the income we get from ticket sales, above the income from renting our facilities out for weddings and banquets, birthday parties. We have all sorts of things there. It's constantly busy with things other than symphony concerts, and we love it. But the Premier Fund is a direct fund drive. It's a direct solicitation. This year our goal is $115,000. And we have funds to match that. So when you give to us, and this is true with many nonprofits, when you give to us, your gift will immediately be matched. I hope I don't sound like those 39 campaign solicitations we've all gotten per day from everybody who can find our phone number, our email address, or what have you. We're glad that political season is sort of over for a while. It's always difficult for your nonprofits during election years, but we do appreciate what the community does for us. We have, every year we have new donors come in, and of course we have those donors who have been with us for years and will continue to be with us, who leave bequests to the Symphony and endowments that propagate the future.
Right. And as you were mentioning before, there's so much more that goes on backstage other than the musicians being up there playing. You know, you've got administrative staff, you have to run the building, all of these other things too. So it's really, really crucial to have the support of our community. We
work year-round to essentially produce performances on 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 13 different occasions a year, 14 or so, and we provide. When you, for example, when you contribute to the Premier Fund, you're helping underwrite the Carnegie Hall Link Up children's educational series, in which only professional orchestras around the world, there are about 100 of us, are invited to participate in this program and to provide a concert free of charge for the elementary school children in grades 3 through 5 in our public school system. We're engaged each year now to go down to Stillwater and perform for the Payne County Public Schools at the McKnight Center. It's a marvelous stage, and we were quite excited to be able to go do that. And there are other things.
Right. And so maybe for some of our followers who are watching, who have kids that are going to be participating in this concert, what sorts of things can they expect? Like, what does a typical Link Up concert entail?
Well, the music teachers in the elementary grades are really our partners in all of this, because they are given teaching materials and online access. In fact, all of the children have 24/7 online access to the programming that we will perform throughout the year, school year, until we give the concerts in March. They learn the essential elements of music. It's sort of like learning a playbook for your favorite sport, learning the offense and the defense, and I think the conductor's the entire offense. And the orchestra's the defense or something. No, the composer puts out what the challenges that we face as musicians. It's absolutely marvelous. But the children learn about rhythm, they learn about dynamics, they learn about melody, they learn all the essential elements of music and how it relates to a symphony orchestra. And then at the culmination of all that of the year, we bring them in and have a performance for them of things that they have studied. So it's totally different from hearing the recordings. All of a sudden, here 60 musicians standing there are sitting there performing just for you. I guess I'm the only one that has to stand.
You might be.
I might be.
We'll find out. And so when are these concerts?
In Enid, I believe they are March the 8th this year, and then in Stillwater, April the 5th, I believe, something like that.
Okay, I see. And so after this concert on the 26th, though, this upcoming Sunday, we don't really have anything January, February performance-wise, but we do have some concerts in April and May, our season concerts. Tell us a little bit about those.
We do. Our season was divided. We had such terrible winter weather last year, and we looked at this year and the possibility. I do consult the Farmer's Almanac. It's a very important to me anyhow. But we're finishing our season here in April with the marvelous Brazilian pianist Sergio Monteiro, who teaches at Oklahoma City University. And then in April, it's going to be really bittersweet. This is going to be difficult. We're going to say farewell to Caroline Turek. Her husband's tour at Vance as an instructor pilot comes to an end this spring. And we're going to feature her one last time with the Enid Symphony Orchestra, playing a concerto by Samuel Barber, an American who wrote this when he was a student at the Curtis Institute of Music, as a matter of fact. And people at the time, even the violin faculty at Curtis, said, well, it's not playable. It's too difficult. And now it's been mastered by so many people. And it takes a violinist of Caroline's skill level to play this piece of music. So we're going to play that. Sergio's going to play the Rachmaninoff Second Piano Concerto, which is probably, if you don't know anything about classical music, but you've heard some, and you've heard pop songs that have classical music interspersed in them, or were the inspiration for the melodies of certain songs. The Rachmaninoff Second Piano Concerto is what Sergio will play. And it's an absolutely wonderful piece of music, and he is every bit the pianist required to play that piece well.
You really need to be an astounding soloist to pull off the Rachmaninoff.
You've got to be, and you have to have a wonderful symphony orchestra backing you up.
And same thing with the Barber Violin Concerto. You really need to be of a high level. I know.
Yeah. We really want to bring the finest cultural opportunities through music to the community. Isn't all that we do. We're educational, we're cultural, we're entertainment, and we are community funded. And that's a very, very significant thing. There are so few communities in the United States that have a professional symphony orchestra. Communities of our size, of course the larger ones do. But I'll remind everybody, Enid had the first non-collegiate orchestra in the state of Oklahoma, and actually it was the second orchestra. The first was the OU Symphony that was founded in 1893, and then we came along in about 1905, and Phillips opened in 07, and there was a great marriage there, and you know, it just kept wonderful music in the community all of these years, so we're excited.
Oh yeah, lots of exciting things coming up, especially later this season. So we touched on this a little bit when we were talking about the Christmas concert. I do want to go back to the Connie Moore art show. My apologies. I know she's on December 18th. That's her official art show. So it's a wonderful opportunity for a date night. What time is it at? What can people really expect for people who haven't been to an art show? Like,
well, on the
beverages?
on the 18th, the Jane Champlin Art Gallery will be open from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. So it's not a date night. It's sort of a Sunday afternoon
Date
thing.
afternoon.
Just take a break from the season and come to an art show. And actually, the art is all for sale. The Symphony receives a portion of the sales for this. But you get to meet the artist and have a conversation with the artist about why and how these works were created. Connie lives in Winoka. She began painting as an adult, and she is extremely accomplished artist. So we're looking forward to that. And then I understand we're negotiating. You're negotiating another art show for the springtime for us in the Jane Champlin Art Gallery. So we're hoping that the Enid Symphony Center becomes a place, or continues to be a place where people go for the best cultural experiences that you can find, and something, as I say, generally found in larger communities. We're very fortunate.
Right. It's lovely how the Symphony Hall is really becoming a center of art and culture in Enid. We have the symphony performances in the Symphony Hall. We're trying to build an art gallery on the 5th floor with regular artists. We have a banquet hall where we host weddings. You know, there's really so much that
weddings,
you can do.
Birthdays, quinceañeras, I mean, civic meetings. We're set for a certain size event. We're not going to handle your 1,000-guest wedding reception, but if you're looking at a wedding of a couple of 300, we take care of you.
Wonderful, great. Well, I believe that's all we have time for today, so thank you so much for speaking with us, Doug Newell. We really appreciate it. We've learned quite a bit about not only this upcoming concert, but sort of the opportunities that we have for the rest of the season. I do want to reiterate for our viewers about the Premier Fund Drive. I believe only 10 to 20% of our funding comes from ticket sales alone. So it's really, really crucial you consider giving back to your community, really supporting not only your local orchestra, but also your local nonprofits, your local art centers. So if you're interested in donating, or I believe we are sold out for the Christmas concert.
We are, but we have opened the dress rehearsal that afternoon.
Right. So if you can't get a ticket for this concert, please do consider coming to the open dress rehearsal. I believe it's 2 o'clock, 2 to 5 on that Saturday. So for more information, please give us a call at the number below the screen, 580-237-9646, or go to our website, www.enidsymphony.org. That's us. Yes, thank you so much for tuning in, and please check us out.